All right, welcome back, COSA 50 folks. Professor Almeida here, and in this video, I want to show you how the SAM training sims and exams work for the Microsoft 365 apps. Coming up in this video, I'm going to demonstrate Word Chapter 1, at least with the SAM training sim and the exam. You'll notice that there are projects for every chapter, and those will be covered in separate walkthrough videos. As before, if you need a break, you always have the pause button. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. Before we get into the training sims and exams, just want to remind you again that you always have access to the full ebook. And I strongly recommend that you preview the chapters ahead of time. So if I scroll down the table of contents, you'll see here's Word, and we're only covering the first 3 chapters of Word. So for example, with chapter 1, we're going to get into basic formatting techniques with creating flyers, and then chapter 2 gets into research papers and the built-in reference tools in Word, and then chapter 3 gets into business letters. Same thing with PowerPoint. We'll cover the first 3 chapters, and then in the back half of COSA 50, the first 3 chapters of Excel and the first 3 chapters of Access. So again, you do have access to this ebook. Make sure you preview the chapters ahead of time so that you become familiar with what we will be doing in class. Now, as before, the easiest way to get into the training sims and exams is directly in Canvas here. So here's Word 1 training. Again, the projects will be covered in separate walkthrough videos. And then if you scroll on down, you'll see the links to the exams. All right, here we are in MindTap, and let's go ahead and get into chapter 1 here. Let's go ahead and launch the training sim so you see how it works. So this is SAM, and as before, run a system check, especially if you are using a different machine. You can see that everything checks out. If you need to enable pop-ups, make sure you do that in Edge or Chrome, and then exit out and relaunch the assignment. All right, let's go ahead and start. Now, for Microsoft 365 apps, you will definitely want to maximize your training sim window so that you can see everything. And you can see here that the entire Windows environment is replicated right here in this browser window. As long as you are using a supported web browser, you should be fine. All right, couple of things off the bat. Number 1, you'll notice that there are 56 tasks here. It may seem like a lot, but for some of these, you can knock them out in under 30 seconds. You'll also notice that there are 3 different modes: observe, practice, and apply. I've set apply mode to be the default. Some of you already know what to do here with this task, but if you get stuck, you always have observe and practice. I'll show you how this works momentarily. If you need a break from the training sim, do not hit the green submit button, otherwise you will lock in your score. Simply exit out of the training sim window, and then when you're ready, you can relaunch this and pick back up where you left off. All right, so let's take a look at this task here. I can move this window around, by the way, if I need to see what's going on. And in this task, I'm being asked to create a new blank document. Well, let's say I don't really know how to do this. I can go into observe mode and watch a video here.
When you want to start working in a document that does not contain any content, create a new blank document.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause this for a moment. You can see the tools I have. I can play and pause. You'll see there's closed captioning available. I can speed this up if I want. I can launch a transcript, and I can also mute this, especially if I'm working in the classroom or in a lab. So again, with observe mode, you just sit back and watch. Now in practice mode, this is guided step by step. Let's see how this works.
When you want to start working in a document that does not contain any, click the File tab on the ribbon.
Now I clicked on the balloon to move on to the next thing. So if you kind of have an idea of what you're doing, you can click directly on the balloon here. And now it's waiting for me to click on the File tab in the ribbon. So let's go ahead and click on File.
Backstage view opens, and
you can see how
in
I
the new
clicked on it.
gallery, click Blank Document.
All right, click Blank Document.
A new blank.
Boom. Now I can jump straight to apply. Or let's say, for instance, I'm in the middle of practice.
When you want to start working,
and
click the File tab on the ribbon.
Let's say I already know what to do at this point. I can just go straight to apply and then finish this task. So let's go ahead and create a new blank document. I'm going to go into the File tab and under New, Blank Document. There you go. And it moves me on to the next task. So you can see task number 1 is complete. I can move around if I want. And with these training sims, they are graded on completion. Everyone should be able to get 100% on these training sims. You can think of them as participation. I give you plenty of time to work on the training. So make sure you get these done on time. You cannot go back for late credit. These are easy points. You don't want to leave them on the table. All right, let's take a look at task number 2 here. And again, if you need a break, you always have that pause button. So here's one we can finish very quickly. Start Word. Let's go ahead and click on the Start menu. There's Word. Boom, just like that. So it may seem like there's a lot of tasks to get through here, but some of these you can knock them out very quickly. Or you can go in and pick and choose a couple and come back to others later on. So let's take a look at delete text, for instance, here. Delete the words and intensity from the first body paragraph. Okay, so there's that. Boom, just like that, you're done. Okay, so again, don't let the number of tasks scare you here. You should be able to get through some of these very quickly. And again, if you get stuck, you always have observe and practice modes. All right, so I hope this makes sense. And let's take a look at what the exam looks like. So we'll go ahead and start the exam here. Again, you want to maximize your window. If you need to take a break from the exam, simply close out. Do not hit the green submit button unless you are finished. Now, you'll notice that task 1 is just like what you saw in the training sim. Maybe the scenario changed a little bit, but it's pretty similar. So they're asking us to create a new blank document. It's a lot like apply mode, so you have to know what you're doing. And you'll also see that you only get 3 tries at this. Now, you're allowed to go in and click around on different things, right? So you can see how I can move around. I can just click on whatever I want. So in this case, I wasn't supposed to do that. Let's retry this task. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this. And by the way, whoops, did I, here, let's relaunch it. Nope, I still have 2 attempts. Okay, good. So let's finish this. Okay, answer correct, advancing to the next task. And we could see, there you go, it's marked correct. One thing to keep in mind, keyboard shortcuts, okay? One thing I want to caution you with these training sims. First of all, keyboard shortcuts may or may not work. Why risk it? And I know that there are multiple ways to do certain things in Microsoft 365 apps, particularly with Word. You have your keyboard shortcuts. And let's say, for example, you want to bold some text. You can go into the home tab of the ribbon and the font group, click on bold. There's also the mini toolbar. There's other ways to do things. To be on the safe side, you want to stick with what they show you in observe and practice modes, if you get what I'm saying. Okay, otherwise, if you try to be clever, you might end up being marked wrong, and you certainly don't want to carelessly lose attempts. Okay, keyboard shortcuts, why risk it? again, follow what's being shown to you in observe and practice modes. So with that, let's do one more task and we'll go ahead and end this video. All right, back to the exam here. Again, if you need a break, don't click on submit until you're actually done. You can close out of the window here. All right, let's knock this out. Start Word. Boom, done, just like that. Okay, so again, don't let the number of tasks scare you. And you'll see that with task 3, or in this case, let's go to task 6 on deleting text. So you can see it's pretty much the same thing from the training sim. Maybe they just change up the scenario a little bit. But if you were able to do it in the training sim, you should be able to do it in the exam. And with that, I would also take notes along the way. So if you don't think you're going to remember how to do certain things when it comes time to take the exam, I would take notes. That way you have those notes available to you. And with that, I hope that this video has helped you out. Good luck with your SAM training sims and exams, and I wish you all the best. Thanks for watching.